are you doing this fine evening? I'm doing well, and I hope you're doing well as well. And today we're going to look at Etch. I'm very excited about it because it's a long time since I have looked at it, a couple of weeks back if I remember correctly, and I really love the tool actually, and I just want to build stuff. I'm so into discovering new page builders and that sort of things in the past live streams that I really want to dive into rebuilding stuff, and hopefully my web knowledge doesn't leave me behind a little bit, because it's a long time since I've written HTML and CSS together. So let's see what happens, right? And let's see if the setup is going well and that everything's working as expected. So I'm going to set it up a little bit right now. Maybe I can share my screen as well, that you can see what I am seeing. So this is what I see in a restream. That's nice, right? Now we get a stream inception. Look at that. We really get a stream inception. So what I want to do, as always, is check if my chats are coming in. So what I usually do is go to chat.restream.io and see if everything's working there. And then I type in hello, and I should see it popping up right there, but it doesn't look like it's working right now. So what could be the issue is that this one's off, and that's indeed the case. Hello, Dave. How are you doing? Look at that. Messages coming in. Hello, little brother. How are you doing? And now everything is working. You see? Sometimes you just need to look into the setting up and seeing what's going on. And then in this case, this one was disabled. I hate it when it does that. It always makes me so tired in finding the right place on how to do that. It is like 3 or 4 places where you need to go to see if everything's working. And this screen is dirty. All right, need to look into that after the stream, I guess. There's all kinds of dust particles. Oh, it's really annoying. For you, look like I'm just pointing my finger, but yeah, I'm going to look into that after the stream. At least if I'm not too blurred. I guess I'm not. Let's have a look. What I'm planning to do is just having a chill live stream looking at this design that I've made before. It's a really simple black and white and gray kind of design, should I say. Oh, don't point, that's rude. I'm sorry, little brother. And from this design, I want to create the website, and let's see how everything goes, right? It's something that I have planned for a long time, just to try out Etch a little bit more, because yeah, it's a tool that I bought and not use a lot actually, because at work we're using Elementor. It's day and night, the difference between those two, I can imagine. Let's also put on some lo-fi music just for people like me. Can you zoom in? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was planning on doing that as well. Even more so. It's a shame that I don't see how much it's zoomed in right now, but thank you for asking, Dave. So let's start off with our header menu, and what we see in our header menu is, god damn it, why am I misclicking? Is a nice little logo with some navigation and a possible drop down. I don't know if we are going to do the drop down as well. Just having the structure in here and doing some basic stuff, and then the button on the right side. I don't know how far we can get in the 1-ish hour, but I hope that we can at least get somewhere. And else we continue on next week. So let's put this one right here. So we have a section. I don't know if we need a section right here. It should be in header if I remember correctly. And we can change that right here as well. And the nice thing of Etch is that if you don't want to do everything in here in the HTML section, you can also change it right here by double tapping and then say main, and then we'll change on 2 places, or you can have it right here. I mean, there are so many options. It's nice. Let's add something in our container, right? We don't have anything in there. So first we want to add a logo, because I want this to be all the way across, but I want my content to be the content width. Let's see how we can do that. Let's first add an image. Whoa, that's a big ass image. And what we could do instead of using this image is going to Logo Ipsum. If you don't know what Logo Ipsum is, Logo Ipsum is the place where you can get free logos just to try out on your own website. I use it a lot of times just to get a simple logo in there. So let's select this one. Let's see, download. And I want the SVG. SVG, if you don't know, is a vector format, which is better than PNG because it can infinitely scale as big and as bold as you want, which is better. So let's see if we can change the source. I never done this before in Edge, so let's see what happens. Look at that, it's working as expected. So I want to add a class to the logo and want to really define the width of it. So we can press Ctrl Enter and then we say dot to add a class. And the class should be logo. It doesn't need to be header or whatever. And then I want to look into the dimensions. And here we have all the sizing. Now, what I find a bit strange is that we have inline size, we have max inline size, min inline size. I mean, because I work with CSS, I know what this is. But if you never wrote the modern way of using these kind of things, you need to just understand that this is width. Wow, this is a very strange kind of music. I will need to change. SVG. So let's change the inline size to 50 pixels, and as you can see, it changes the width of the logo. So inline is from left to right, and block is from top to bottom. That's at least how I got familiar with it. So we can say 140, or maybe we can do 150. Usually for the logo itself, I like to just have this one. It doesn't look good. So let's make this one 150 pixels. And that should be good enough. Then for our next section, in our header, we want a div, which is a nav. This should be a nav. And in our nav, we have nav items. And items can be lists in this case. So this should be li, if I remember correctly. Let's see. What do you put in nav? Just finished my vegan cordon bleu from the vegetarian slager. Slager, yeah. It's crazy how good it's. Ooh, that sounds awesome. I need to try that now. I had the crispy chicken kind of thing from the vegetarian slager. And it was nice as well. We need to add an OL first. I thought you could do that directly into the nav. So let's add a OL first. So this should be OL. And inside OL we have LI. LI. So this will be our menu. And we'll call it menu when it's a nav, right? And nav. And then nav dash list. And we have a nav dash item. And if I remember correctly, we can right click and then create BAM classes. And look at that, we have nav nav item. We have nav nav list. And we have nav. So we have nav 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 nav. I don't think this is the right way to do it. This feels to me more logical. We have a nav list, and we have a nav item. It's not completely BAM, I guess, but this makes sense in my brain at least, that we have these connected. Now I'm wondering, How does this look in the style? And look at that. It still has this one. Those two can be deleted. Look at that, that's easy. Easy. We didn't create the other one, so we can delete those. And then go back. Oh, right. We need to save first. Save. And then we go back to the editor. Oh, that's the wrong button. Oh dear. What I wanted to do, yeah, is go back right here. And now we have nav list, nav. Now we can add our items. Oh, good to know. I haven't tried that one yet. Yeah, I really can recommend. But yeah, so tasty. It's tasty like yum yum. Let's add inside our nav item. We want our text to appear. I guess this should be a span, right? Not a paragraph. Or am I just mistaken here, right here? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to figure this out. Because it's a long time ago since I last did this, writing CSS. So hopefully I will not do things the wrong way. But it can happen, and if it doesn't happen, please feel free to correct me. Because, yeah, that's why we're here as well, right? We're learning something. So, Ctrl Enter, and we add a header class. Because now the items, home, maybe we can duplicate this one. Services, then again. This should be a loop or something. I think I will change that in the future, but for now it's what it is. Services, about us, about me, because it's just a tiny little me. And then the last one will be contacts, right? Or that should be a button and should be outside of the list, I guess. Or shouldn't it be? Contact. Because it's still part of the navigation, but I want it to be a button instead of being a normal link. Let's see how we can deal with that later. So first let's get into our header. Actually, this is our header. And this is our header inner. Is it the correct one? And then we can delete. This still looks good. Header inner. So we need to change this one into inner. Near is a little bit troublesome. You can have a lot of clauses that you don't actually want. I guess that has something to do with debouncing or something. But we can easily manage it by checking it every time, you know, for sure that this is clean enough actually. I don't know if it's recommended, but hey, it's what we do, right? So I want to display grid on this one. Ooh, we should try out only using the style options on the left side, right? Let's get rid of everything that is not the normal kind of thing that we're used to when using Elementor and that sort of thing. So we have grid, and here we have the grid options. Now the template columns are the ones that are going from left to right, and the rows are from top to bottom. So the columns and the rows. So this could be one of our, and then, ooh, it is the size of the logo, right? 350, and then one of our. Look at that, they're side by side. Woohoo! And then the logo itself, the dimension, could be 100%. That's the nice thing about grid, that you can make a size, but it's determined by the grid itself. So the grid determines how large each section is, instead of the content itself determining how big it is. If you use flex in this case, you need to set the width of every element. So you need to set the width of the image, and you need to set the width of the navigation. Should it shrink, or should it expand or not? But in grid, it's the other way around. And for me, that makes more sense, right? That you're working on a higher dimension. No, that you're working from top to bottom. I'm the parent, I'm the boss, I'm deciding how big you can get. I'm pointing at you. Yes, listen to me. Edge forces you to know CSS units and var. It doesn't autocomplete for you. Yeah, that's true as well. It doesn't autocomplete. So if we say 120, it's 120. 120 what? I don't know. So you need to understand a little bit of pixels and the other unit of measures, which can be a downside. But if you're using what's called Elementor for a long time, you usually see pixels standing there. And what I always do is change pixels to another measurement size, like rem or em or that sort of thing. So for me, it doesn't do anything for me. It would be nice if Edge could have some kind of info indication or something. How does this work? And have a visual way of showing people that are new to this and to all the namings. For example, if I'm used to setting up width and I see inline size, I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't say fix it and call it width. It would be nice for the user to understand how this works, have some kind of info box on how inline size works, that it's from left to right, that you see some kind of visual, perhaps maybe that's a little bit too much, and that you have options to CSS units. And this always needs to be a number, can also be auto or a variable or whatever. But people coming from other builders have never heard of inline size. Even for me, it's a little bit new. I got used to it by seeing Kevin using it over and over again to understand Kevin Powell and Kevin Geary to understand what it means. Else I couldn't know. So maybe that would be helpful for people who are going into Edge. Let's see. So we have 150 and 1 fraction, and for our nav list, we want I want everything to be a grid. So this can be a grid as well. And I see that there's rows already defined, and the grid templates are fetched from the parent. Go to source, and here we see that it is set in the parent. That's really nice, actually. That's easy. Awesome. Let's go back there, because we want this to be from left to right, but what we could do is go with this one, right? One with R, and then every section gets the size of 1 fraction of the total size. I use logical properties a lot nowadays. What do you mean with logical properties? That's could you explain a little bit more? I'm a little bit lost. So we can write it like this. We can write it like, let's see, repeat 4, which means that it will repeat 4 times, and then you determine the size, and it does the same thing. What we also can do is say fit content. Ooh, it doesn't like that. Max content. Yeah, here we have it. So now the grid will not be larger than the content it has. So it works the similar kind of way as what's called CSS when we use Flexbox. But here it says 4. So if we add another one, I don't know what will happen. Let's do this the right way. Remove that one and duplicate that one. It will move downwards because we have 4 sections already in there in the grid, and yeah, the 5th one needs then to go to the next row. That's how grid works. So we can remove this, and then we can select our list. So instead of setting 4 right here, we can go to type in auto fit, if I remember correctly. As I said, it's a long time ago, so forgive me if I'm setting it up wrong. Oh, and then we can set this to min max, which means it has a minimal size and a maximum size. Let's see. What am I doing wrong? Because I would expect fit and autofill to work right here. No. Auto fit. Logical properties, inline size. Ah, I see, I see. Well, I don't think they're logical, if you ask me. I use this a lot nowadays, yeah. So, yeah, for me, it's still a little bit new. But I am also a very old guy, so forgive me for that. Repeat, autofill. Here we have it. And then you can set a 40 pixels. Let's go back here. So we have autofill. And I guess we need to set a specific size. What it does now, for every item that's in this list, it determines, does it have 40 size, 40 pixels width? And if it does, then it just puts it next to it. And if you add another one and puts next to it, and it keeps on doing that until it reaches the end, which is no more the 40 pixel size. Let's close that one, by the way. And then it will put on a new line. Let's see. I see that Ctrl Z is not working with my browser. And I see I have deleted one too many. So we need to copy this one and say about me. So that's how this works, the autofill. It will fill up all the way to the end. But we want this to have a minimal size and a maximum size, right? I just want this to be max content. Why can't that be? It doesn't need to be fit content, or doesn't it work at all in autofit and autofill? Let's see. Autofill fit dash content. As I said, I didn't know every answer, and that's fine. We're discovering this together to see how it works. Autofit and autofill are two different techniques used in web development to manage the layout of the columns. Autofit, alright. But I want to see if fit content works. Auto-sizing, fit and fill is with autofit with max content. So we just said autofill, and you also have a version autofit. One of those two, they are working a different way. I can't remember what the difference are, but we are searching for max content. So we have a maximum size and a minimum size. Okay, we're playing around with the grid template, max content one fraction. If we look at documentation, we can see that min-max command is valid. But a repeat documentation on CSSWG, it states in one simple rule that this allows all of this from happening. The generic form of the repeat syntax is approximately track list. The first argument. What's an intrinsic size? So the command won't work in grid because each column row will be a different size and wrapping cannot take place. Oh. So this should be a flex box. All right, that's good to know. It's invalid. So in this case, it won't work because it needs to have a size and can't work in an intrinsic size. So if we try to do this, then we can... Yeah, it doesn't work. So we need to give it a size. Ah, that's too bad. So this is best done in flex. So now we know, right? And look at that. It is from left to right. And I want to give it a gap of 1 rem. And perhaps the logo should be a little bit distant from the text as well. And I'd like this to be a little bit bigger, so we can give it 2 rem. But we also have spacing. Space. I see that it doesn't work like this. It's too bad. Or dash dash space M. There we go. And I thought the auto finishing would be working right here as well. XS, that looks fine. And then we want everything to be aligned in the middle, because I don't like that this is touching the bottom and there's a lot of space down here. So we need to change that as well. Let's see, we have all the grid rows flow. There will be lining. Where can we set the aligning options? Outer rows. I'm looking for justify and align items. So here we have the dimensions, makes sense. Color, visibility, flow. This all looks good, but not what we want to look for. We have custom. Is that a custom property for now? Well, that's a bummer. So what we need to do is open up our CSS panel, and then we can go ahead and justify items. Now it was align items, right? You never know when it's align and when it's justify, to be fair. Does this work? Yeah, look at that. Now it's nicely aligned. And if we look in here, I'm curious where the settings are for the align items. We have dimensions, we have layout, we have grid, and everything that has done with grid, to do with grid. We have dimensions, color, background, typography. We have the border, makes sense, shadow. Now, am I missing something, or couldn't I find align items? Let's do a search for it. There's only one result, so I guess it's not in here elsewhere, which is good to know. Hopefully they will add it in future. I guess they will, but it's not right there. So now I want a little bit spacing on the top and the bottom, but also to the left and the right. For the top and bottom, that's usually the first. How padding works, at least from my understanding from the past, a long time ago, your first value will be top, then the next value will be left, then your next value will be bottom, and then your next value will be right. Top, right, ooh, damn, did it again, right. Bottom, and then left. So if we set the first value, it's the value for spacing to the top of this. So let's set up bar space M. And because the rest is invalid, the padding itself is invalid. So what we can do is remove this, and you see that the M spacing is now used everywhere. But we don't want that. We want the left and right side to be different. One other funny note is that if we write 4 values, we can have 4 different values for it. So we can write something like this, XL. We can write something like L. And we can write something like space S. And then we have all different variables for top, right, bottom, and left. But usually you want top and bottom one to be the same and left and right one to be the same. So what we can do is set it up in the block and inline in here, where block is top to bottom and padding is left and right. What we also can do is make the padding itself shorter. So when we write it like this, it means that this is the top and bottom, and this is the left and right. So yeah, that's actually it. Nothing else to add. So perhaps we can do something like this, that we have less spacing on the top and bottom and more spacing from the left to right. Inside our list item, I actually want my contact button to be on the far right. So what we can do is in the CSS, so add a specific selector from the nav list. And what we can do by selecting it, we can select it like this because we want it to be in the nav list, and then put a colon in there and then say last best child. So it will select the last child inside of this list, which in this case is contacts. So if we give it a background red, I hoped it would be this one that's selected, but I guess I did something wrong. Let me see. We need to also select which one is the last child. So inside our nav dash lists, we have a nav dash item, and then we select the last child, which it means the last child, the last nav item inside of the navigation, and change the background to red. And that's what we're doing right here. It would be nice that you have something that you can just import the button primary settings. And if I remember correctly, that is planned to add in there, because that is actually a mixin. A mixin means that if you already have a class set up, they can reuse that one. Align self to the end. Flex end. Or is this justify? Justify. Let's put my music a little bit down. By the self. Flex end. One of those two should work, that the last item is then aligned to the right side. But I don't know which one it should be. Or could it be that it's not available in our nav list? And we are using it as a display flex, so... Oh, by the way, the grids and the gap will not work. The gap will work, but the grid will not work. So that can be removed. Align self flex end. I thought something like that would work, but I guess I'm mistaken. And damn. That's a little bit jarring that everything changes. Let's see. Flex end. Or should this also be end? No, I don't know how this works right now. It's okay. That's what happens, right? We can set up our background for this one. What we also can do is add another class, right? Oh. I don't know what happened there. Dot button dash primary. There we go. We have now made the last one as a button. And should that... Oh, wait, there should be a... Because those are links, actually. And inside the nav, because now the button makes everything taller. Oh, my eyes, they are hurting. Let's remove the red background. Let's add color. Oh, damn. I hope something like that will work. We can type in, also try to type in white. Because it's the A tag, right? nav item is not in list. So it should be nav item, let child A, and there we go. White. Yeah, that works. Awesome. But now I want to align everything to the center. So we can just add, I hope it is justify content to center. No, it's align items. Items to the center. There we go. Now I really want to get that button to the end. I'm annoyed by it that it is not at the end. And so let's see. Let's save this first. Next container next item to the end. Look at that. More people trying to do that. Aligning with auto margin. Prior to alignment via content and prior any positive free space is distributed to auto margins in the dimension. Lost of type. Instead of lost child, we have lost of type. What does that button do? No, it's not a specific selector. Just when it's the loss of type in the HTML itself somewhere, then we'll get this. But that's not what we want. We want the last item to have a different flags. And it should be the list. So what we can do right here is add that one in, and then in here add that one in. And then this one needs to be added right there, like so. And this should work. But still, it doesn't align, right? But if I understand it correctly, ooh, there we go. We need to set a margin top right bottom left to auto. And there we go. Now it's aligned to the right. I feel like a hacker. No, I'm kidding. So that's one portion done. That's the navigation. And just how many time? How long are we live right now? I can see clearly now. I guess in 30 minutes. We've created a very simple navigation. That's how long it can take if you're just new to this, right? If you're exploring CSS again since a very long time. So that's also my goal with this live stream, to show you how you can do it, but also let you know that it can take a little bit of time before you get a certain part. Don't be impatient when doing this. Seeing all these things happen with Lovable, with Bold.new, or experienced developers like Kevin Geary, he flies through this like it's nothing. Don't compare yourself to them. You need to learn it at your own pace, step by step, and that's the only way that you can learn these kind of things. So be patient is what I want to say. Let's continue. So we have our header ready. Yay! Confetti button. Can we gonna get a confetti button? A confetti button. Woohoo! We've done it. We have made our first. This is awesome, by the way. Great for accessibility, I can imagine. So we have done it. We have made our first section. So let's continue on the next one. and that will be our hero section. So we have hero and then inner, like that. And then what we have in here, we have a left and right section. This could be done with CSS Grid as well, perhaps. That we have a a very black size to put an image, and then we have two places where we put a heading, two headings, I guess, two headings right here and two headings right here, and so this will be a empty size. This will be one block, and this will be one block. This can be easily done with using what we now know, right? We can also make a grid. So this will be a 3 grid layout, right? We have a grid right here that's ending right here. We have a grid that's ending right here. And we have nothing in between. I mean, can this be a two grid layout even? And then split it up in 3. Let's just try it out, right? All right. I just want to try this out. I want to make it hard, not easy. I'm forcing grid into this. We're going to do it. Let's see. So we need 2 headings. We need a paragraph and we need a button. Let's change the button to have, so this will be, what kind of heading would this be? Projects? Pressure? Let's call it project. Available. That will be nice. Availability. This would be just a heading. So the availability would be a span. And then we have a heading, then we have a text, and then we have a button instead of a link. Button. I don't know why, but I hate it when it's when the first letters are capitals. Can we please have a setting to change that? So that looks better. And now we can create BAM classes. There we go. Bam. Now what I don't like is that these are now BAM classes as well, actually. Because now I need to set up our button again. And I want it to be reusable. So I guess I would just remove it and give it button primary. So that it is the primary button. Oh, this should be lead. I don't know how do you pronounce it. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Ooh, what happens there? Oh dear. Oh dear, everything goes wrong. Ah. We're back. No worries, don't worry, everything's okay. Just calm down. Alright, I want to create a grid for this one. So let's break it down a little bit, right? We have one column that's very big, and we have another one that's very small that contains our content actually. So we have 2 columns, and we actually also have 2 rows, because this is a row. I mean a column. We have 2 rows and we have 2 columns. But can it work like this? Or do we need to add another column like right here that is actually empty? And how big would these sizes be for those 2? And also for those 2. Let's create a grid for it. Grid generator. See this grid generator, right? So we want 2 columns and 2 rows. And as we can see, we have some issue right here because we want a empty space as well between them. So we can set the size right here, but yeah, that's something I don't like. So we need 3 columns so that we have some empty spacing right here. The maximum size of this one would be 350 pixels. And this should be 450 pixels. Now this is a very easy way to understand what's actually happening and how you create the grid. This also needs to be one fraction. And like we learned, the fit content doesn't work, if I remember correctly. Must have real CSS units. Goofball. Nice. I guess I'm just a goofball. 200 pixels high, something like that. 400 pixels. So now we have our nice grid. And what I want to do is create areas in it. So these ones will be empty. Then we have the first one that will contain our title. Then we have nothing. And then we have a second one that will contain the rest of the text. What we also can do is add another row. Make it 100 pixel. And then this one also 100 pixel. And put our title in here. Because there's this section. And then have another one right here. But doesn't align right. It doesn't align. So that doesn't make sense. I was hoping that we can remove adding a extra container for it. So we need a extra container for this one, extra container for this one. But I was hoping that we can omit it and just use grid area to position these on the grid and these ones as well. But as we can see right here, this one is bigger on this side, whilst this one is bigger on that side. And with grid, that won't work. Because it will just draw lines straight like this. And then it doesn't match up. We can overlap certain areas, but if we want to do that, I don't think it makes sense to do it. So we can remove this one. And go back to 2 rows and add 200 pixels. That should be it. Please may have some code. And here we have the settings that we need to set. So that's really handy. Now, I don't want to memorize this. So what we can do in Vivaldi is set up that we want the page styling to be vertical. And there we go. We have a nice side-by-side view of it. But I guess I pressed the wrong one. It's fine. Oh, damn. I guess we throw away everything that we made. I will be so unhappy if that's true. Whew, luckily, that's not the case. Let's put those two side by side. Page styling vertical. There we go. And remove that sidebar. So now we can go inside here and look into our layout of our div. First, let's put those two in a container, right? Because it won't be the way that I hoped we could do it. A div. Then we add a span and a heading. I wanted to do it the extra nice way, but I guess it's not available. And we put in the text and the button right here. This is, by the way, how I usually work. I first try to build out the structure. And when the structure stands, then I design the rest. Now, I can do this faster, but I want to do this very chill and do this together with you guys. So let's change this one to grid. There we go. Then we need to copy the grid template columns inside of this one. And we need to copy the template rows inside of this one. And as we can see, still floats at the top, and that has to do with the positioning of these two sections. So what we need to do is place this somewhere in the grid. And that somewhere needs to be told with a thing called grid area. So let's see. I don't have to open up a second one. 4, 5. Let's see. Grid area. And here you can see how you can set up the grid area. We can give them names as well. Let's see. Grid area. Grid, or was it grid name? Grid name? Layout using named grids. Yeah, here we have the grid template columns. And we can give it names directly in there. Oh, that's new to me. Oh, that's awesome. So we can give this name. The first column should be title. And then empty. Because nothing should be put in there. And then we have the last one that should be, I don't know, call to action, button plus lead. Let's give it, keep it like this. Main start, content start, main end. Box 1 has a main start, and then a main end. Ah, right. So these are the the lines that we saw in the other tool that we used. Content start. So we are defining names of the lines. Content slash end. Then main end. And then we can do the same for here. So we can add main start. Content main end. Ooh, that looks very complex. Let's see how we can do this. Then we select this one. So we can add a clause right here, or I don't know, heading, hero heading. And inside of hero heading, we want the grid column start to be content. No, this should be main dash start. And then the grid row should start and end on content, and then main end. Should this be main end? Yeah, that looks fair. So we have main start, this is this position. Then we have content and main end for the rows. And for the columns, we have the main start. And then content start, content end, and then we have main end. All right. So hero heading, hero dot hero underscore lead. And we can set the position same way, right? Grid column start is main end. It's content. No, this is main end actually, right? No, it starts at main content and then ends at main end. So we can do the same thing right here. We can set it up to be grid start, row start. So where should it start? It should start at the content, and the grid row end should be main end. I guess this is too high up, so we can move it down to main end. And there we go. I think for me this is still a little bit difficult to understand. It should be content end then in this case. No, those are... Let's get back to our... what we had, right? We had this one to be 350 pixels. And 2, 3. Also 2, 1, 2, 3. 3 columns. So we had this as 350 pixels. 1 fraction. Then 250 pixels. XP pixels. Then 1 fraction and 200 pixels. So now we have recreated this again. So if I understand this correctly, we named the first line to be main start. And rows. So that's from left to right, from top to bottom. So this is main start. Then we have content, and then we have main end. And from right, this is main start, this line is content start, content end, main end. Right. Is that correct? Let's see. So these are the columns and those are the rows. So this one should be add content. And the row, I really don't get it. To be fair, column end. Main end. So this also should be main end. But then it starts there, right? Save. Let's have a look at the front end. Looks like it is aligning to the right side, but... Oh, there we go. So this is indeed the last container, but it now adds 4. And that's something I don't get. Why does it have 4 of those? Grid. Display block properties prevents grid column end from having effect. And so that's content end. Content. It's nice that here we have the prefix of all those settings and that we can immediately see where it will be put. And this is main start and this is main end. So it should be content end in this case. Because that means that it is starting at the end of the content, right? Am I right? Let's get back to the right tab. So this should be content end. It starts at the content end. And until the main end, and it should start at content. No, it should be at the end. I still don't really understand how this works exactly, to be fair. Main start, yeah, that should be started there. And the end should be at content start. So that should be it. And for our sizes, we need to set a min-max. So I want this to be a minimum of 1 fraction, a maximum of 200 pixels. And this should be 350. Doesn't look like it's accepting the values that I'm putting in right now. I was so exciting about this one, but it looks a little bit more tough than I could imagine. Content end. Let's see, let's go back in here. And there we go. We have now both of them in a position that we want them to be. This is 1 fractional unit. And look at the amount of extra spacing that we have left. That's okay. And this could be bigger, but just let's pop in our text, right? Projects. Projects left. Here are your strategic web partner. Just some random text. As a seasoned web designer. And we don't have Digital Gravy. Get into context. I don't know, I'm very bad at writing. But look at that, we have everything in the places that we wanted. So we have the projects and your strategic web partner on one side, and the text and button on the right side. Just like we see here. I see that we can use a different size for this one. So maybe we can change up the characters instead of using pixels in this case. So let's go up in here. And let's change the amount of characters, right? You can say 6 ch 10. I don't know how many. 25 characters. And this should be 40 characters. Oops. Something like that. And if we save right now, we're getting there. Don't ask me where, but we're getting somewhere. Let's go back to this one and then select our hero section. And now I want you to add a background color. And it's a shame that we can't just do it like this, like dash dash and then primary. Is that a setting or something somewhere that I need to set on enabling or disabling this? I don't know. Here it is a little bit easier. Background. Color primary. Where's our ACSS button? I don't see it. It's fine. Primary. Maybe make it secondary. Ooh. Here we have everything that's in there. Oh, that's awesome. Secondary light. Primary. Oh, that's awesome. That auto completes for you. That's really nice. So we have our first section done. Second section, by the way. Let's continue on the next one. This should be simple and straightforward, right? We have another section, and in a section we have like 1 and 2. So 1, 2. And in the first one we have our heading and button. Yes. So a heading and a button. And the second one we have some text, some paragraph. Come on. It doesn't allow me to select the text. What's this? Ah, something is locked. It's annoying. So we have it like that. We can select a container and add a class featured. Featured work. Let's just call it featured. And we can make it very easy. Display and then a direction of row. Is it now reversed? Damn it. Row. Then we can add a button primary right here. Dot button primary. And in here we can add text that we have set up right here. And now we need to add a width to both of them actually, right? If we're leaving it as a grid, as a flex. And that's why I like to use grid. Because we then can say, all right, I want to be 50-50, and then it just does that. And it's fine. I don't know how we would call this div. And that's also, perhaps we can use grid in this case as well to be one fraction, so 2 columns. And then 2 rows as well. One fraction and then fit content. And put this in the first one. And so this should be our text. Featured text. Ah, damn it. I added a property. Control enter. Featured text. And there we go. And then we can position it inside of the grid. Let's see. Grid call span. And we can also see it right here, right? Call grid span. Span. A column span of 3, 2 doesn't seem to work. We can ask Gemini. Google.com. To in CSS grid. how can we make a element to columns high. It was something with grid call span. Let's see what it comes up with. Pro. It's grid row, and then you say span 2. And then in this case, instead of span, we can tell it to be a column. Look at that, it's working. Row. And we want to start at 1. And then dash 2. Oh no, this should be 2 and then 3. No, this should be 1 and then 3. Yeah, that's it. Only they need to be flipped so we can get grid column. And then we can say 2 over 3. Yeah, there we go. And then we even not need this container to be like this. We can say that it should be also. If we say also here as well, it doesn't make sense. So there we have a piece of the second section. I'm tired. My brain is fried, so I couldn't get. I will not go any further than this for now. But yeah, that's what we made in the time. Now, I'm someone who does understand a little bit of CSS, but don't know every new thing and how it happens and how you should use it. I've been using a lot of the just filling in elements in the past as well. But I really do like the experience to see how everything looks and feels when you're just setting it up. So that's really nice. I think we can make changes this to be shorter and that to be lengthier. But this has just to do with our section to be zoomed in right now. Also, I could make this a bit bigger and a bit easier to see. That we need to cut it off right here. So we can say that it needs to be an X amount of characters. Yeah, I do enjoy doing these kinds of things, by the way. And I hope you have enjoyed it as well. It was a lot of fun doing this, if you ask me. It's a little bit of toying around and tinkering with it, and that's what I want to do with these live streams, right? Just to have a relaxed way to find out things, to understand how things work, and using the grid and inline sizes, trying to explain of the knowledge that I have and things that I don't know. I will answer that during the live stream by just trying it out. So I hope you had fun this live stream, or at least fun in seeing me how I struggle with these kind of things, and hopefully it gives you more confidence that you can do this too as well, because I think it's very important to understand how HTML and CSS works, because it's the fundamentals of the web, right? Everything's built on HTML and CSS, what you're actually seeing. Also a little bit of JavaScript, of course, with the interactions and that sort of things, but the main important things are HTML and CSS. Yeah, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. That will help. If you didn't like it, press thumbs down 2 times. Does work, I guess. And if you want to do something else, you can subscribe. And I will catch you all on the next live stream. As always, keep designing. Where's this